Hey, what's up, people? Pizowell here, and today I want to talk to you guys about visiting the Texarkana shooting locations for 1976's The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Now, the day after my birthday, which was on the 12th of July, in which I'd spent that day visiting some of the shooting locations for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we headed out to Texarkana and we managed to discover quite a few of the more prominent shooting locations from The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Now, I've always loved The Town That Dreaded Sundown, going all the way back to when I first saw the movie on VHS many years ago. I love the poster artwork for the film. I'm wearing a shirt featuring that artwork. I think it's just iconic, beautiful artwork. There's just something about the movie that I've always found fascinating. And of course, the movie is based on true events that occurred in Texarkana way back in the day, a series of murders that are, as of yet, unsolved. So that just kind of adds this very eerie mystique to the movie and to the town. Now, the first location that we discovered was the railway station, the police station, and the motel, which are featured at the very beginning of the movie. They're basically right across the street from one another. So that was a very easy location to find. From there, we tried to track down the location of the church. Now, we had an address for the church, but I'm not sure if they changed the names of the streets in that area or whatnot. It was at the corner of like 43rd Street and Bowie, but we couldn't find Bowie. We found 43rd Street, but there was no street nearby named Bowie, so we had to kind of track it down via stores nearby. We knew there was a school here, there was a store here named Freeman's, and there was some other location just right around it. It was like right in the middle of all those locations. We did discover two empty lots, however, on the same block where buildings certainly once stood, but stood no more. And I'm pretty sure one of those two lots is where the church used to be. And actually, I'm pretty sure one in particular is the lot where the church used to be, because in the photos of the church that we were kind of using as a guide to find the location, you could see a curb in front of the church. Now, one of the areas where a building once stood but clearly stood no more, there was a curb that looked very similar to that on the picture. So I'm pretty sure that that is where the church used to be, but is no longer. From there, we discovered the location where the high school prom was filmed, and that was about it. Now, there were a couple of other locations that we could have sought out, one of them being a cemetery that's featured in the film just briefly, but we decided not to. There was just this, I felt this odd kind of weight being there in Texarkana. And it didn't have anything to do with, the Phantom Killer or anything that happened there all those years ago in which, people were really murdered. It was a small town that it was practically a ghost town. We were there on a Saturday afternoon, sometime between 3 and 5 p.m. on Main Street, and it was a ghost town. There was no one out. There was no one about. It's a very small town, and I'm from a very small town, and small towns don't really change. What they do in a small town to make old buildings look new is they just basically slap a fresh coat of paint on them. But in Texarkana, it kind of seemed like they'd even stopped doing that. On the main street, pretty much all of the storefronts were abandoned. There were no stores in those storefronts. And the locations themselves, like you can see behind me, this is the railway station, the motel, and the police station from the film. And the film was shot, 40 plus years ago, but that location now, it looks like the film was shot there 100 years ago. It's in such a state of disrepair. And the entire town is just in like a state of complete disrepair. So driving down that main street, I'm sure that main street looked exactly the same now as it did when they were filming Town That Dreaded Sundown in 76, as it did when the Phantom Killer murders were happening there way back when. So it really, it just had this, it was just kind of sad, to be perfectly honest. Seeing a really beautiful small town, a small town with a lot of character and with a lot of history, and some of that history being a very dark history, but just kind of almost left to rot. It was really sad. It was really sad. And it I don't want to say it kind of dampened my excitement for being there and, you know, being around those locations as much as I love the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown, but it certainly added, like I said, just kind of a heaviness, seeing that, you know, this town's falling apart. How much longer is this town going to be here? Let alone these locations, which are already crumbling and just dying. Just the town itself just looked and felt like it was dying too. Still, I had a really good time visiting the shooting locations for The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I've loved that movie for many, many years. I've always wanted to visit Texarkana, to walk the streets that the Phantom Killer once walked many, many years ago, and that Charles B. Pierce and the cast and crew of The Town That Dreaded Sundown walked, 40 plus years ago, to be able to have one foot planted on one side of the street, and that be in Texas, and the other foot planted on the other side of the street, that's in Arkansas. I don't know. I just think that's kind of cool. I captured quite a bit of footage from the shooting locations of The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which I will include at the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. But I have to say, if there are any other Town That Dreaded Sundown fans out there who want to visit those locations, now is the time, because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, those locations may not be there. The entire town may not be there. So now's the time to visit the shooting locations of The Town That Dreaded Sundown in Texarkana, if you so desire. If you've ever visited the shooting locations of The Town That Dreaded Sundown in Texarkana, please let me know down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the A Buck a Month Club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Kevin Smythe, Orc145626, B-Movie Mike, Robert Sobel, Turi Delamore, Stephen Flanagan, Lori Holt, Craig Farrand, Farron Sutton, Jeremiah Lambert, Grindhouse Grotto, Derek Jana, Demon Waffles, Simon Clark, Stone Gassman, Zachary Barton, Lauren Dixon, James Welch, Eli Geisler, Jeff Overing, Pete Toll, Kyle McGuire, Jay the Stingray, Andrew McDonald, Dave Barnes, Jonathan Lundy, Chris Gonzalez, Trenton Bowser, Jason Breitenbach, Brandon Bisdick, Steak Sauce, OG Myers, and Mark Striano. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.